Welcome to Enlightenment Unknown, Life of a Spiritual Nomad. Join Reiki Master and Quantum Healing expert Wes Coons as he guides listeners through the depths of self-discovery and spiritual enlightenment to uncover the version of you we haven't met yet. Hello and welcome to a very special Memorial Day episode of Enlightenment Unknown, Life of a Spiritual Nomad. I'm here with Wes Coons. Wes, tell us what we're going to be talking about today.
Andrea, thanks so much for being here and helping with the show today. And thank you to our listeners. We're now in Canada, so I know who that is. That's my friend Sugar Bear. I love her. Hi, Sugar Bear. So we're going to do something special today. I wanted to honor the veterans and the warriors that didn't come home from combat and battle overseas, and also recognize the ones that did. Because, you know, they are suffering in silence. And I want to say, I appreciate you. We recognize you. You are loved, you're beautiful, and you are gifted.
Thanks, Wes. That's wonderful. And today we will be honoring Robert C Burke. And if you guys have been following Enlightenment Unknown, Life of a Spiritual Nomad, you know that Wes has talked about his Uncle Robert on several episodes and what an incredible hero he was. So, Wes, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, one of the things that I came to learn joining the Marine Corps was if you are in a bad situation, if your ass is on fire, the one person you want to have next to you in a foxhole is a United States Marine. Uncle Robert was born November 7th, 1949 in Monticello, Illinois. He had 4 sisters and 2 brothers. And they say he always wanted to be a Marine. You know, I couldn't speak to that because I didn't know him. However, I believe he had the same journey I did, Andrea. And when we were 17, the judge helped us make a decision to join the United States Marine Corps. And that's what we did. And one thing about Uncle Robert that I do know is his passion for his family. I've heard that from my aunts, and my mom has talked about that. Even as a 17, 18-year-old man, you know, he just had this something about him. And when he was growing up, he was helping his father, I guess that would be Grandpa, I never met him, building fences and doing things out on the farm and doing things of that nature. And he joined the Marine Corps. And one thing about being in the Marine Corps, everybody's an infantryman. Everybody is a combat warrior, no matter what your job is. He was trained as a truck driver, but when he got to Vietnam, they put a weapon in his hand and they made him a machine gunner. Uncle Robert did his training in Camp Pendleton, and by February of '68, he joined 3rd Battalion, 27th Marines, 1st Marine Division as a machine gunner. That spring, in the Go Noi Island sector, about 15 miles south of Da Nang Air Force Base. That area was heavy with Viet Cong, and the 7th Marines were tasked with going into that sector to prevent enemy troops from staging a new offensive. Operation Allenbrook, as it was called, began May 4th. 3rd Battalion I Company, which Burke was a part of, joined the fray later that month. Within days, their unit and several others successfully took over a major North Vietnamese staging area that's on this island. On May 17th, 1968, the group set out again early in the morning. I Company was in the lead. As Burke's unit approached a dry riverbed near a defense line of the trees bordering a small village in Lanam, they were ambushed by a large force hidden in the trees. Fire from heavy mortars, rocket-propelled grenades, and automatic weapons exploded on their unit. Several men in Uncle Robert's unit were injured. Many were killed, including the captain and the 2 platoon leaders. The heavy enemy fire kept other units from being able to advance upon them. Uncle Robert realized that the key points had to be taken out for them to be able to advance and move for their wounded. One thing about Marines, we don't leave anybody behind. He grabbed his machine gun and launched a series of one-man assaults against the enemy. As he moved to the edge of the steep riverbed, he focused his assault on several enemy bunkers. which allowed his fellow Marines to move forward and get the wounded out to relative safety. Then he laid down heavy fire into the enemy position with an automatic weapon, killing 3 North Vietnamese soldiers as they tried to get away. Burke kept moving, systematically quieting the hostile fire until his weapon malfunctioned. So basically, he is killing every single one of them to save his Marines. He then grabbed a rifle and some hand grenades off another Marine, so he kept fighting, taking out 2 more enemy soldiers. When Burke saw that a fellow Marine had cleared his weapon, he took it back and moved it into an open position. He laid down suppressing fire along the tree line until his injuries got the best of him and he died where he laid. The Air Force and artillery support helped more Marines break through and help the stranded unit, and eventually the enemy retreated. 15 men from Company I died, and 50 more were wounded. If it hadn't been for Robert and his selfless actions, many more would have been lost. The body of this 18-year-old man was brought home, and he was buried in Monticello Cemetery in his hometown. After recommendations from his fellow Marines and commanders, Burke became the youngest person in Vietnam era to ever receive the Medal of Honor. And I believe to date, he's the second youngest man ever to receive that honor. The entire family got to go to the White House, and Vice President Agnew on April 20th, 1970, during a White House ceremony, honored him and other Marines. Uncle Robert's Medal of Honor and some of his belongings are on display at the Piatt County Courthouse in Illinois. That's where they choose to honor him. And I just want to say, Uncle Robert, I love you. And I also want to say to those of you that have lost somebody, thank you for that sacrifice. Thank you for the sacrifice of your family. I know sometimes we scratch our head when we go into combat and wonder why we're there. You know, as a warrior, as a Marine, as a soldier, you know, we're there because we're told to be there. We don't get to make those decisions. And the intimacy between yourself and somebody next to you is something you can't explain. Because everything stops. There is no home. There is no freedom. There is nothing. We're going to survive this. We're going to do what we need to do. We're going to come together as brothers and sisters. We're going to fight through this, and we're going to support each other. And then at some point in time, it stops, and then we get to go home. And we're expected to fit into society. The hard part about that is coming back from that position, coming back from the mindset that one has to be able to do this line of work. And let me tell you, you can come back. You can step through that door that's in front of you. You know, there's one of my favorite 4-letter words is hope. You know, without hope, we don't have anything, really. And when I learned that life happened for me and not to me, and that the things that happened to me in my life that traumatized me at a deep level, you know, I made those incidents, that thing that happened, whatever it was, I made that my story. And somebody told me one day, hey, Wes, that's just a line, that's a sentence, that's a paragraph in your book of your story. That's not your story. You know, you can change that. And when I came to the realization that I had the freedom, because we put this cage over ourselves, but I had the freedom to do something different. You know, for me, that was being molested as a child. That was something that was a really big deal for me. And it's a big deal for a lot of people, and it was a big deal. But I made it my story, and it's not my fucking story anymore. You know, it's not even really a line in a paragraph in the back of my book. It's on the cutting room floor at this point. And I just want you to understand that you can make whatever is holding you back, whatever has traumatized you, on the cutting room floor too. We're told that healing takes forever, it takes years. That's bullshit. Andrea and I are putting these programs together right now, and we have them up for sale. And you can go to our Instagram page, VB Healer, and you could click on there and find these books that helps you heal instantly. We don't have to wait forever. Life is short. Let's extend it and make it long and beautiful. And I want to say, if you served, thank you. I respect you. And if you are a family member of somebody who served, thank you, and I respect you because you served too. Thank you for loving this country the way you do. Thank you for being who you are. And we just want to say we appreciate you and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Wes, for giving me and all of our listeners a glimpse into Robert's bravery and the sacrifices that he made. We really appreciate it. You've been listening to Enlightenment Unknown with Wes Coons, your guide on the quest for self-discovery and the version of you we haven't met yet.